Andrew McCutcheon of the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're down to the last 7 weeks of Fox Saturday Baseball. It's crunch time. It's going to be fun.
And how much fun it must be for Andrew McCutcheon, having a great year for the Pirates, going against the Cardinals. Both teams trying to get to the division and wild card, and they clash today on a beautiful afternoon and a big crowd here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Fox Saturday Baseball brings you this matchup. The Pirates 6.5 behind the Reds, who beat the Cubs moments ago. The Cardinals 8.5 behind, and the Pirates lead the Cardinals by 2 games for the second wild card. And welcome everyone to St. Louis. I'm Dick Stockton along with Eric Karros, and the Pirates halted a tailspin. They've won 2 in a row now, and the Cardinals have dropped a pair, but they've been here before. You know what happened last year, winning the wild card and then capturing the World Series. And of course, Eric, who do you think are the horses who these teams expect to carry them the rest of the way?
Well, right now, especially with Pittsburgh, it goes without saying, Andrew McCutcheon is the guy. The season ended today, and I know it doesn't. He would be my National League MVP. Leads all of baseball with a .360 batting average, leads the National League in slugging and runs scored. He's done it all. And that's not to say the Cardinals don't have a few MVP candidates of their own. Carlos Beltran and Matt Holliday. Those guys are respectively 1-2 in the National League in RBI. Matt Holliday having another solid season, hitting over 323 home runs. For either one of these teams to get to the postseason, all 3 of these players are going to have to continue their MVP quest.
Now, Beltran is not in the starting lineup, but we could very well see him. So coming up, it'll be the Pirates against the Cardinals. And we'll have the lineups and the first pitch coming up in just a moment. Degrees here in St. Louis, and the second game of this 3-game series, the Pirates winning last night 2-1. And here is today's starting lineup for the Pirates, brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Starling Marte in left field leading off. Jordy Mercer will be at second. Andrew McCutcheon, the center fielder. Garrett Jones batting cleanup at first base. Travis Snyder will be in right field. Pedro Alvarez is at third base. Rod Barajas behind the plate. Clint Barmas, the shortstop, and Eric Bedard, the pitcher for the Pirates, facing Lance Lynn, who is 13-5 on the year and a 3.65 ERA.
Yeah, he's had some struggles as of late, especially in that first inning. And that is really what the Cardinals are going to watch today. Get through that darn first inning. Is it a mental hurdle? They don't believe it's physical, but this is what we're watching.
All right, and right now, before we get underway, here is today's defensive lineman for the Cardinals, brought to you by Chevrolet. Matt Holliday, Shane Robinson is in center, and Matt Carpenter is in right field. David Freese at third, Rafael Furcal at short, Ryan Jackson at second, and Alan Craig at first. Yadier Molina back in the lineup after missing 3 games with tightness of the back, and the Cardinals glad to have him back, and he'll be catching Lance Lynn. So ready to go here beneath the arch in St. Louis, and the opening pitch brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buzz. And as we mentioned, the Reds kept it going, and it's amazing what they've done without Joey Votto. 5-3 winners over the Cubs today as Johnny Cueto went 8 innings and extended his record to 16-6. Starling Marte leading off in left field, hitting .247, has 4 homers and 10 runs batted in. He's been the leadoff hitter in every game he started, which is all but one since he was called up late in July, and the first pitch, ball 1 from Lance Lynn. So it'll be Marte, Mercer, and McCutcheon, the 3Ms starting it off for the Pirates. And a strike on the corner, and 1-1 to Marte. Pirates had lost 3 in a row and had a terrible homestand, dropping 7 of 11 games, and they were certainly reeling, but they've won 2 in a row, including last night's strange 2-1 victory.
Yeah, strange 2-1 victory. Both runs, no RBIs, a wild pitch and a pass ball for Pittsburgh. St. Louis again, 2 games now where they've scored a total of 2 runs.
1-2 pitch and a ground ball to Alan Craig. He'll make the play unassisted. And 1 out for the Pirates in the first inning, and that will bring up Jordy Mercer, the second baseman. Cardinals have the same record they had a year ago at this time, 64-55. And they just want to get into postseason because they know what that means. Jordy Mercer hitting 159 with a homer and 2 runs batted in, has been up only 44 times. Made his big league debut at the end of May as he takes a strike. And he had the first of 2 starts at second base toward the end of the week. There's a little profile on him. He's a Oklahoma native. Fly ball to center field. Shane Robinson is there. Quickly 2 down in the Pirate first inning. And Andrew McCutchen coming to the plate. Well, as Eric mentioned, McCutchen leading the league in hitting at .360, 5th in home runs with 24, and has knocked in 72 runs. Hitting .370 earlier in the year, has fallen off a little bit in his last 30 games or so, but always a threat. Infield and outfield playing straight away and back, and the first pitch fouled away.
Well, you talk about McCutchen always being a threat. We spoke with Clint Hurdle prior to the game, and he was talking about what Andrew did in the offseason to improve as a player. Worked on his hitting, his throwing, his all-around game, and it's really shown.
And the amazing thing is he did it on his own. He didn't need trainers helping him, didn't need any coaches giving him an idea. And that's a good sign as far as self-discipline and what this man wants to achieve in his big league career. Fouls off the 1-1. Lance Lynn, and you mentioned his first inning woes. He has an 8.22 earned run average in the opening inning. Has given up 3 first inning runs in 3 of the last 4. So trying to get out of this first frame, and he's got 2 down.
Well, and that's one of those things with Lance Lynn. It's not a physical issue, and I say it's not a physical issue. His arm's fine. He has great stuff. He throws dominant games, but it's been a mental hurdle to get past that first inning. That's why these next few pitches are so important.
And he misses inside to count 2 balls and 2 strikes. So this is a very important start for Lance Lynn. Joe Kelly relegated to the bullpen, and there's been a little debate there as you look at the pitching coach,
Derek Lilliquist.
And boy, they had a great one here, didn't they, for so many years? And of course, still an advisor to this club, Dave Duncan. Count is full to McCutchen, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Lilliquist worked out of the bullpen in the days of Duncan, so he knows what this club needs. And McCutchen strikes out. And that's what Lynn is, a strikeout pitcher. He gets out of the first inning unscathed. 1-2-3. Cardinals coming up. Cardinals coming up in the first inning, and here is this afternoon's starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you got to live Moss. Rafael Furcal will lead it off. Matt Carpenter hitting second. Matt Holliday batting third, and Alan Craig is at the cleanup spot. David Freese in the 5th position. Yadier Molina back in the lineup, as we said, hitting 6th. Shane Robinson will bat 7th. Ryan Jackson just called up, hitting 8th. And Lance Lynn, the pitcher, batting 9th. Against the left-hander Eric Bedard, making his 23rd appearance. 7-12 on the year, Eric.
Yeah, he's won each of his last 2 starts, but he hasn't had a lot of success individually against these Cardinal hitters. Furcal hits him very well.
Switch hitting for Call with a big cut and a foul at first pitch, and it's strike 1. Bedard not been effective on the road. His ERA is about 4 runs higher on the road than it is at home, but one of his 3 road victories occurred here back on May the 3rd. Drive to center field. McCutchen going back, won't get this one. It's off the top of the wall. And slipping as for Call, rounded first, but he recovers and goes into second with a stand-up double to start the Cardinal first inning. McCutchen has great speed, and this one was hit solidly.
Yeah, down in the zone, for Call gets the bat out there, and it's a warm day today. The ball will carry, and as we mentioned, this Cardinal lineup individually has had a lot of success against Bedard, namely for Call. He's done very well against him, coming in .444 prior to that at bat.
So how about this? 5 extra base hits in the last 5 games after that kind of a drought in the previous 57. So things do change as Matt Carpenter steps up against Bedard, and he hits a ground ball, base hit to center field. For Call will score, and the Cardinals quickly have taken a 1-0 lead. Matt Carpenter, with his 31st RBI of the year, knocks in for Call.
Well, Matt Carpenter, the left-handed hitter, getting the start against Eric Bedard. He's had a nice season so far this year. And I think more important than anything, Mike Matheny told us before the game, the thing with this Cardinal offense, they need to get the big hit and then they get going. Well, we're only 2 batters in. They've got the big hit. They could have a high-scoring game now.
And they have a pretty good guy at the plate here, Matt Holliday, who you profiled at the start of the game. 8th in the league in hitting at .306, 10th in home runs with 23. He's knocked in 81 runs. So here's Holliday with Carpenter on at first base. Fouls off the first pitch for a strike. Cardinals taking a quick 1-0 lead, so that equals the number of runs they have scored in each of the last 3 games.
And again, Mike Matheny said it. He said we just can't seem to get that big hit, but then when we do, we just continue to roll.
Yeah, he said we explode when we get that. And this is an opportunity for him. Good pitch by Bedard in on the fists of Holliday. And the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Matt Holliday, having an MVP caliber year, has gone over 20 home runs for the 7th consecutive season. And as you see, has had success against the left-hander. Alan Craig is on deck for the Cardinals. One and 2. Well, the Cardinals without Albert Pujols for the first time in over a decade. Lance Berkman has been hurt, so Holliday has really had to handle the brunt of the middle inning power with Alan Craig and then of course David Freese. Nobody out, and the count now 2 balls and 2 strikes to Matt Holliday.
Well, 4 players with over 60 RBIs on this Cardinal ball club, so they don't rely on just one player. And then talking about Yadier Molina, who doesn't have 60, but he's right up there with 54. So the production has been spread.
And you can say the same for the Pirates, who also have 4 with that many RBIs. And Holliday strikes out, and that'll be the first out. Right now, let's take a look at the defense for the Pirates, brought to you by Chevrolet. Marte, McCutchen, and Snyder in the outfield. Alvarez, Barmes, Mercer, and Jones the infield. Barajas behind the plate. And this defense is 7th in the league coming in. So with 1 out and Carpenter at first, here's Alan Craig. Alan Craig batting .303, has 18 homers, 62 runs batted in. So starting from Carpenter, there are 5 straight Cardinal hitters who are batting .300 or better. 1-0 to Craig. Craig is 2 for 6 in his career against Bedard, but one of them has been a home run. Pirate infield, a double play death with Mercer shaded towards second. Good hole between first and second, and a ground ball and the home base hit for Alan Craig. Stopping at second is Carpenter. So the 3rd hit of this first inning for the Cardinals, who have first and second and 1 out. and David Freese coming. So here's David Freese as you took a look at that last pitch.
See, Alan Craig just pulls that ball into the hole. But this is the situation that Mike Matheny had talked about prior to the game. Is you've got runners on first and second. David Freese, a guy you want up at the plate. They need the big hit here. They've got an opportunity to open things up right in the first inning. They need the big hit, and that's what they have been lacking as of late.
And the difference between just getting one run if Bedard gets out of the inning and a big inning for the Cardinals is huge. Freese, 301 hitter with 16 homers, 66 RBIs, 10th in the league in hitting. Hard to believe he snapped an 0 for 20 drought with a 2-run homer Wednesday and still has these kinds of numbers. Changeup, and it misses for ball one. Freese, the postseason hero for the Cardinals last year. Local product from Lafayette High School in Wildwood. 16 home runs, 13 homers in his 3-year career before this season. Bedard with a look at second and a ground ball to the left side, and Alvarez to second to first, and the double play. Just what you were saying, Eric. Chance for the big inning goes by the boards. Cardinals have to settle for one run. It's 1-0 St. Louis into the second. Today's game, presented by Budweiser, is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. And by the makers of One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB. Well, the Pirates got out of that first inning, allowing the Cardinals only one run after there were 3 hits. And so Lance Lynn has the 1-run lead and will face the 4, 5, and 6 hitters of the Pirates here in the second inning. Let's take a look at the umpires working today's game. Behind the plate is Jim Reynolds. James Hoy works at first, Jim Joyce at second, and Lance Barrett is over at third. And Garrett Jones will lead off for the Pirates. Jones is hitting .283, 19 homers, 64 runs batted in. Had an explosive game on Thursday with a pair of 3-run homers against the Dodgers. Now just 2 behind his career high in homers with 21. He takes down low for a ball. And Clint Hurdle was talking about those players that he feels must support McCutchen down the stretch.
Right. There has to be some help. And one of these guys, Garrett Jones, the other, Pedro Alvarez.
Fly ball to left field, and Matt Holliday going back. And he makes the catch, and there's one out. Right now, let's go to Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break. Matt.
Dick, with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, the Aroldis Chapman puts the finishing touches on the North Sider. Johnny Cueto gets the win, improving to 11-0 in his 13 daytime starts this year. Second in the Twin Bill on tap later on this afternoon. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back to Dick and Eric in St. Louis.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. And one away in the Pirates' second inning, and here's Travis Snyder, the right fielder. And the first pitch is a strike. Travis Snyder, dealt by the Blue Jays at the end of July to Pittsburgh. Hitting .333. This is his 46th time at the plate in a Pirate uniform. Has 1 homer and 5 runs batted in. Had a hamstring problem last Sunday and has played in all 4 games since. Started a couple, and here he is as he takes down low, and it's 2-1 to Snyder. Pirates, despite the 2-game winning streak, have still lost 6 of their last 9 and 7 of 11. As this one is lifted out to left field. Once again, Holliday toward the line, makes the catch. 2 fly balls by 2 left-handers to the left fielder, and there's 2 out to Pedro Alvarez, the third baseman.
Well, this is a guy right here, Dick, that I think that Clint Hurdle was really making a point prior to the game about somebody needing to step up and play to his potential. You look at the home runs, 22 home runs. He had a stretch a little earlier in the year where he was really carrying the club as far as power and RBIs. Clint would like to see that for this next month and a half.
Hit one on Thursday against the Dodgers, his first since July the 22nd, and he leads all the third basemen in the National League with the 22 homers. 0-1 to Alvarez, who has gone deep against Lance Lynn in 6 previous at-bats. 2 out, nobody on base. Big cut and a miss and a strike, and it's 0-2.
And that's what Alvarez does a lot of. Coming into today's game, 129 strikeouts. You see, that's nice. The 22 home runs right there leads the National League third baseman. But there are a ton of swing and misses.
And takes down low. And of course, Lance Lynn has been a strikeout pitcher. He has had 3 starts this year with 10 or more strikeouts. As we said, an important game for Lance Lynn in the big scheme of things for the Cardinals starting rotation. 1-2 to Alvarez, and the count is now even 2-2. One thing going for Lynn is his success against division foes. He is 9-1 against National League Central teams with a 2.72 ERA. Breaking pitch missing outside, and the count is full to Alvarez with Barajas on deck for the Pirates. There's the veteran catcher. Lance Lynn, the 25-year-old from Brownsburg, Indiana. And breaking ball in for strike 3. Good curveball. And the second strikeout for Lynn, and another 1-2-3 inning. After an inning and a half, 1-0 Cardinals. Today's game is presented by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. Well, the Cardinals reinforced with the return of Yadier Molina to the lineup. And they missed him for 3 games. 7th in the league in hitting, .312 with 16 homers and 54 runs batted in. First pitch from Bedard, lifted in the air to center field. High fly ball that McCutchen makes the catch, and on 1 out, Molina is retired. Well, let's take a look at our Twitter poll today. Tweet your vote to MLB on Fox. Who will make the playoffs this season? Will it be the Pirates, the Cardinals, both, or neither? Now, you can't call a friend.
I want to hear your story. I like your story that you shared with us earlier.
Well, we're going to actually, we have that.
Let's tease that. Let's tease that.
Right.
That'll be coming a little later in the telecast.
Don't go away. Anyway, this is the wild card story. Atlanta right now would be the #1 wild card. The Pirates would be second, and those are the teams. The Dodgers a game and a half behind. The Cardinals, and they're 2 behind Pittsburgh. So this game's significant. Cincinnati won today, but you know, in the back of their minds, the wild card is the way of getting into postseason. Shane Robinson hitting .250 with 2 homers and 12 runs batted in. And he takes a ball 2-0 to Shane Robinson. Started the year with the Cardinals, had a stint at Memphis, and came back up early in August. By the way, he got a game-winning hit, the only one of his career, against Bedard. And the Pirates back on July the 1st. 2-1 now to Shane Robinson, bottom 3rd. He is hitting 7th with Ryan Jackson on deck, and then the pitcher. So Robinson from Tampa, Florida, which is where Tony La Russa hailed from, and attended Florida State. And he's got to be smart since he was recruited by Stanford and Duke. Chopped to the right side. Jordy Mercer makes the play, and Shane Robinson is retired. So Bedard gets the first 2 Cardinals here in the 2nd inning, and Ryan Jackson will come up. Made his debut last Saturday and still looking for his first hit. Been up 3 times. Came up from Memphis, where he had 10 home runs and has been effective against left-handed.
He has. More known for his glove work, though, and getting the start today at second base because of the left-handed hitting Descalso, and then, of course, Skip Schumacher.
First pitch is a strike. And talking with Mike Matheny, one of the things, and a lot of times fans lose track of the fact that he's got to make sure in his roster that players don't sit too long. So he's got to get players in there and play them. And it's nice to make out the same lineup every day, but that's not really feasible.
But you're not going to get to the postseason or win championships trying to ride 13 or 14 guys. You have to make that last man on the roster feel every bit as important as that number 3 hitter. And you've got to keep guys fresh, because otherwise when you call on them, how can you expect them to produce?
And that's what Matheny has in his lineup, several of those guys today. 2 balls and a strike to Ryan Jackson with 2 out in the second inning. Cardinals getting a run in the first and missed an opportunity for more as the Pirates turned a double play to retire David Freese. Cardinals had 3 hits, including the leadoff double by Furcal. There's a call strike. 2-2 now to Jackson. Cardinals and Pirates 5-5 in the season series. And the Pirates have actually won 4 out of the 7 here in St. Louis.
These guys are in a stretch right now where 6 of the next 12 games starting from last night are going to be between the 2 ball clubs. So they're going to see a lot of one another. They can also make up some ground or create some distance. They can also just go on idle too. Just split.
2-2 to Jackson. And a full count to Ryan Jackson with the pitcher Lance Lynn waiting to hit.
I'm not sure I understand that pitch right there, because that puts you in a situation here where you've got to throw a fastball. You'd like to put Jackson away, so then the pitcher leads off the next inning, and now you just put yourself in a situation where you can't afford to walk him. You've got to throw the fastball.
And he walks him. Ball 4. So a 2-out walk to Ryan Jackson. First walk of the game by Bedard. And I want to remind you to go to SamsungPhotoHunt.com to upload your photos and learn how you can win MLB tickets and a Galaxy S3. So the Cardinals get a base runner with 2 away, and here's Lance Lynn, who is 3 for 39 on the year, does have an RBI, hitting .077. So by walking the batter, Lance Lynn here at the top of the order could be leading off next inning unless Lynn does some damage. First pitch is a strike. Been a long time since a Cardinal Pirate game or series has meant something after the All-Star break. First time the Pirates have had a winning record since the last time they had the winning record back in '92. That was a Bedard changeup foul back, and it's 0-2.
It sounds a bit, I don't want to say ridiculous to say, because it does make some sense, but when have the Pittsburgh Pirates played a meaningful series since '92 in August? I mean, it hasn't happened.
Last year they had hoped to, but it didn't happen that way. They spun away, and there's a ball hit foul down the right field line. So the Pirates, one of the great surprise teams in baseball. There's no question about it. There you see the winning percentages. '92 was the last time they were in postseason. And that graph up and down. They have the best record after 119 games.
Up and down, but a ceiling of 500.
Yes. Well, we think short here. Pitch breaks inside, and the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pirates were once one of the best teams in baseball a couple of decades ago, and that's the point. 3 straight division titles.
And obviously the players are doing it on the field, but I think the culture and the environment that Clint Hurdle has created in that clubhouse has allowed them to be successful.
He definitely has simplified things, Eric, no question about it. And he says you can look at all of the tape and all of the stats and graphs and all of those things. He says, are you accountable after the game? Did we do the plays we had to do to win the game or not? Look in the mirror and you know, it's a pretty reasonable approach.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's a very simple approach too.
Clint Hurdle, in his 10th year as a big league manager, led the Rockies to the 2007 World Series. As you saw, the only previous winning season for Clint Hurdle. And call strike 3, and Lynn goes down. So that'll do it in the second inning. Cardinals lead 1 and take a 1-0 lead. Kyle Loesch will be with us coming right up. And welcome back to Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Budweiser. Dick Stockton along with Eric Karros here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The Cardinals lead the Pirates 1-0. And the bottom third of the Pirate order facing Lance Lynn, Rod Barajas, Clint Barmas, and then the pitcher Eric Bedard. And check swing and a foul. We're pleased to have with us from the Cardinal dugout Kyle Loesch, who has had a terrific season, and the last year not too shabby either. 12-2, best winning percentage in the National League. Kyle, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You came back from that rare forearm injury a couple of years ago, and it really blossomed the last 2 years.
Yeah, you know, I had a little trouble there. You know, it's late May in '09 when I got hit, and you know, really caused a lot of problems in my forearm. I developed a compartment syndrome that took us about a year to figure out what it was and how to fix it. And as a result, I got a nice, you know, foot-long scar on my right forearm. So it works now. You know, I might not throw as hard as I used to, but I don't need to. I just allow my location and change the speeds.
Barajas goes down swinging. Strikeout number 3 for Lynn.
Kyle, 12 wins this year, easily could have probably somewhere around 16 or 17. What is it that's allowed you to be so successful this year?
Just really staying consistent with my approach. Really, I just go out there, try to pound the zone. I feel like I get ahead of guys, and that allows me to expand their zone. And you know, with the ability to throw 3 or 4 pitches on both sides of the plate, you know, that gives the hitter a lot of different things they have to cover. And when you're ahead in the count, you can do that. And you know, that's really been the key to my success. Using the defense, I'm not up there trying to pile up the strikeouts. I'm trying to get guys out as quick as I can.
So you're talking about consistency to approach. We've got a guy here today starting the game, Lynn, who struggled in the first inning. I mean, just the last couple of games. What would you tell him? Or how do you deal with that?
We've talked about it. You know, we got a really close-knit group around here, and you know, he's a guy that you know, is not afraid to ask questions and see what other guys think can help. And you know, I've talked to him. You know, one of the things I had to do earlier in my career was finish my warm-ups a little bit sooner and kind of treat my warm-ups as the first inning. Then I come in and sit down about 8-10 minutes. Some guys don't like having all that time in between that and the first inning, but I feel like, you know, I have that time to kind of reset myself, and you know, that's one thing that I think maybe he's looked at trying.
Clint Barmas with a base hit becomes a Pirate base runner, the first hit against Lance Lynn. And you mentioned something interesting as Eric Bedard, the pitcher, steps up looking to bunt, and they charge from third and first, taking down low ball 1. The clubhouse under Mike Matheny in the first year after all of the years with Tony La Russa.
It's you know, it's a lot the same, a little bit different. Just you know, Tony's so intense. You know, you know, he's a big-time game planner. Not that Mike isn't. It's just you know, Tony kind of has that different aura about him, and you know, Mike stepped right in there and tried to carry that same clubhouse culture over. And this year we're you know, just as good of a tight-knit group. We have fun. We know when it's time to get down to serious business. But you know, I think it's been a pretty good transition. I just wish we were winning a little bit more of these close games with them.
Bunt is foul, and count now 1-2 to the pitcher. And of course, as you know, the Cardinals have been in this position before. Not that you want to just live on history, to being out of the wild card thing and trying to get in the postseason, but at least you have the experience of being here.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys, you know, from that team, and we know what it feels like to be down. We obviously don't want to be in that same situation. So, you know, we're trying to take care of this a little bit sooner than we did last year. It was a little bit too much wait until the last game of the year to find out if we were in or not. But it was a good experience being able to do that, and you know, we got a lot of young guys that realize that, you know, we're never out of it, and we can, you know, battle back and get in this thing.
So Kyle, what do you have to do, or if you're looking at the ball club, what do you guys need to do to get to the postseason in this next month and a half?
Well, I think you know, you look at our record in these close ball games, and you know, it's just a matter of maybe that one or two things in a game that we can do to tip the scales in our favor, and you know, whether that be executing a good pitch or maybe, you know, taking it at bat. You know, not that our guys are giving any at bats away, but you know, just, you know, maybe getting a little lucky every once in a while and having some of those hits fall in. You know, last night we had another tough one, and you know, our guys all in the ninth. I mean, Matt Holliday flew out to the track. Scalzo made the last out on a line drive to center, and it's just, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, maybe just need a little luck to fall our way, and we'll get on a roll here.
All right, Kyle, thanks for joining us. Great to talk to you. Continued success.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kyle.
Kyle Loesch, Cardinal right-hander with a 12-2 season and a 2.61 earned run average. 6-0 since his last loss on June the 15th. Starling Marte with 2 out and Barmes on at first base. And the count 1-0 to Marte, who bounced out to the first baseman Alan Craig to start the game. And Eric, it must be something to be on a staff with the likes of Adam Wainwright, Chris Carpenter, and the guts and the way they work. Under the air foul.
Well, I think one of the similar characteristics that all of these guys have, you know, you forget the physical ability, but the mental approach and that grind, and that it's a combination of great talent, but also that I'm going to work and I'm going to work and I'm going to work. And that's when you get the superstars. That's where you get the successful seasons. And I think they all just kind of feed off of one another.
1-1, Lance Lynn with Barmes on at first base. Loop single to right field, the first base runner, and base hit for the Pirates in this game. And the pitch inside hits Marte, and he'll trot down to first base. So the second base runner this inning for the Pirates, and they have runners at first and second with 2 away.
See, this pitch just runs in, hits Marte right on the thigh. I think Lynn just trying to bust him in, establish that inner part of the plate.
That's the 7th hit batsman for Lynn, leading the Cardinals in that department. He's also surrendered the most home runs with 13. And now facing Jordy Mercer, who fly to center field his first time. So the Pirates have the tying run in scoring position, and Clint Barmes with 2 out. Breaking pitch is in for a strike. Lynn struck out the final hitter of the first inning. Got the Pirates in order in the second by getting Alvarez on strikes, and has struck out 2, including Bedard trying to bunt with 2 strikes here in the third. 1-1, the count to Jordy Mercer. So both managers going to their benches today to use players that have not been in the lineup all that often. Fastball fouled on the screen. 1-2 to Mercer. Pirates trying to even their road record. They have 29-30, but they have won 9 of their last 13 away from home. They had a players only meeting this week, and A.J. Burnett, who's having a marvelous year, backed it up 2 days later. Or actually the day later. They lost that day to the Diamondbacks, and the Dodgers, that is, and then they won the next day, preventing the Dodgers from sweeping the Pirates in their season series. And wasn't a work of art, but he was the true stopper in that game.
No, that was a must-win game for him on that Thursday, and Burnett came out and threw a great ball game. The only suggestion I'd have, when you call a players-only meeting, you make sure you know who's pitching for the opposing team that day, and it was Clayton Kershaw.
That's true.
I'm telling you, in all my years, the managers would always call the players-only meeting, or the clubhouse meeting, when we're facing a guy that had a losing record or a young guy. But now when it was a staff ace,
increases your chances a little bit. 2 on and 2 out, and the 2-2 pitch from Lynn to Mercer. Breaking ball lined into left field for a base hit. Off and running was Barmes. He's coming home. Throw is not cut off, and as a result, the Pirates will have runners at second and third as Mercer goes into second and Marte going into third. So Holliday going home to Molina, and the Pirates tying it up on Mercer's single, third RBI of the year. It's 1-1.
A good job by Mercer right there. He waiting for the off-speed pitch in the 2-2 count, and he gets it. Shoots it to left.
So Andrew McCutchen coming up now in a 1-1 game, and now the Pirates with runners at second and third. There is the hit again.
See Molina trying to block the plate, but Armas in there well ahead of the throw. You know, this is almost a spot right now where Lance, so you've got first base open. I don't give McCutchen anything good to hit. He's getting sliders or fastballs all on the outer part of the plate for me.
Struck out his first time up. Garrett Jones would be next. And with McCutchen coming in, you're not cutting the ball off and taking the chance of putting runners at second and third. There's a call strike, 1-1 to McCutchen. You're right. That was a big victory by Burnett, and then they followed it up by winning last night in the start of the series. And now Lynn is ahead of McCutchen, a ball and 2 strikes.
Now Pittsburgh's, although they've struggled in their last 7, 8, 9, 10 games, they've had a couple must-win games. And in 3 of those instances, Sunday against the Padres, Thursday against the Dodgers, and last night, they've answered the bell.
And that's something they didn't do last year when they were in kind of a similar opportunity. In fact, they led the NL Central as late as July the 20th and then finished 21-45. And the one thing that Clint Hurta wanted to avoid was a repeat of that, and it looks like the maturity factor is set in.
Yeah, I think the maturity, I think it's a different personality. A little bit of an edge.
Marte is at third, Mercer at second, and McCutchen strikes out for the second time in the game. And the Pirates lead 2 in scoring position, but they tie the game 1-1. Neil Walker talking coming up. And welcome back to Busch Stadium. Dick Stockton and Eric Karros as the Cardinals batting in the bottom of the third. 1-1 to score, and Rafael Furcal, who led off the game with a double to center field and scored the Cardinal run, fouls off the first pitch for a strike. And we are delighted to have with us Neil Walker, who has been out of action with a dislocated right pinky, and I know the durable Walker wants to get back in a hurry, so we're glad that he's talking with us as the pitch is fouled back. You know, we talked to Clint Hurta when we got to talk to him today, Neil, and he said, I can't, you know, Neil may come in and say I'm ready to go and I want to play. How close was that?
You know, it's when it first happened, I was, you know, obviously in shock when you look down at your fingers in the shape of a Z. But you know, I want to be back as soon as I can. And I took some swings today for the first time, and it really wasn't too terrible. And I obviously switch hit, and the right side was a little bit easier than the left side. But as far as the swelling has, you know, subsided pretty well. It's been pretty positive the last couple of days. It hasn't even been 72 hours yet. So. Since it occurred, so I'm pretty positive about how you know, how quickly I'm going to be able to get back.
1-2, and the count 2-2 to Furcal.
So Neil, you guys are right in the thick of things this year, and you were last year at the end of July. What is different about this team this year as opposed to last year?
Well, there's a lot of new faces here from last year, but I think the biggest thing is how we've reacted to adversity, how resilient we've been when the tough times had come. And you know, I think we knew what we were capable of last year, and especially when we were in late July or early July and mid-July, and then all of a sudden we hit a rough patch and we just weren't able to recover. And I think that was something that has to do obviously with the amount of experience you have on a team, but you know, the veteran leadership and the mixture of the younger guys on the team and whatnot is improved this year. Get there. And
no rooting. Furcal's retired.
But I just feel like we're you know, when we do have a bad game, we've been able to wash it off a lot quicker than we have in the past, and that's something that is really interesting about this group of guys.
There you see the Pirates, who are 2 games ahead of the Cardinals for the second wild card, 6.5 behind the Reds, who won today. And of course, we have Neil Walker with us, having a career year, hitting .290, switch hitter with 14 homers, 67 runs batted in. Matt Carpenter, who knocked in the Cardinal run with a single to center field, with 1 out here in the 3rd inning against Eric Bedard. And you know, we might as well get to it today, because this is a monumental day. Today would be the 78th birthday of the great Roberto Clemente, and we know that your father, you know, Tom, had a great connection with him, a dramatic story that had to do with the plane crash and the death of Roberto Clemente. Ground ball is short, and tell us what today means to you.
Oh, it's certainly a sad day, but also a day of celebration in terms of the Pirates organization. But you know, to think about, you know, what Roberto Clemente has meant to my whole family is obviously very strange to talk about and think about. But I'm just so grateful, and every time I see Vera and his sons, I try to reach out as much as I can, and they obviously know how great of a person and a humanitarian that Roberto was. But you know, we all wish that he was still here, and we know that he would continue to still be changing lives. But it's not the case. But he made an impact on so many people, and you know, obviously especially my family.
Holiday singles with 2 out here in the 3rd inning, and there's your father, Tom Walker, and boy, how eerily close it came concerning that flight.
Yeah, just just the fact that several people told him, you know, it's not a great idea to go, especially since it's New Year's Eve, and the fact that he didn't want any extra help. He wanted to, instead of save space for people, put more cargo in there. Just speaks volumes of his character and the type of person he was. And you know, we all obviously wish that he would have said, yeah, let's wait until this plane is you know, a go to take off. But unfortunately, he didn't do that.
Alan Craig takes a ball inside, and he singled his last time up. Holiday at first with 2 out, and of course, you were married last December with a reception at the Roberto Clemente Museum.
Well, the Roberto Clemente Museum is an absolutely incredible place, and every time we try to make sure that all the ball players that come here get a chance to get over there, because it not only has so much history, not just Roberto Clemente stuff, but other guys and other ex-big league players. But when you walk in there and you see the huge mural of Roberto Clemente, it really hits you, whether you know the guy or not. It's just a striking photograph. And then you get to see his silver slugger bat and upstairs, and a lot of different things that obviously he has accomplished. And certainly, if you haven't gotten there and you're a baseball fan and you're in the Pittsburgh area, you got to make sure you try to get over there, because it's very touching.
And what a coincidence that his middle name, Roberto Walker Clemente.
There's just so many different things. Get there, Barmy. Attaboy.
Makes the catch to retire the side, and thanks for joining us, Neil, and hurry back into the lineup.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Thanks, Neil.
Okay.
All right.
1 hit, 1 left for the Cardinals, and we've completed 3, all even at 1 apiece. Today's game, presented by Budweiser, is sponsored by MasterCard, proud supporter of Stand Up to Cancer, and by T-Mobile. Test drive our nationwide 4G network. 1-1 the score as the Pirates come up in the 4th inning against Lance Lynn. Garrett Jones, fly to left field his first time up, will be followed by Travis Snyder and Pedro Alvarez. And the first pitch misses, ball 1. Interesting that these teams playing today. Walker, of course, is hurt. Talked about his credentials. And Carlos Beltran, who's 2nd in home runs and leading the National League in RBIs, out of there as well for the Cardinals.
Yeah, Beltran getting a day off. Mike Matheny said it made sense to rest him. He comes back tomorrow. They have an off day Monday. And he said that the Beltran this year, regardless of how he feels, he's going out there. And that's the thing, that these guys, these major league ball players, they're not playing in optimal conditions. I say that they're not 100%. When you get into August, you really start to drag because of the heat.
Beltran, a number of injuries, up there in age, but still a guy that can carry a ball club.
You know, we talk and we focus in and zero in on the standings, but it is August 18th, and there are a lot of games to be played, and sometimes a 6-game lead, you say, is a healthy lead. And I would say that if you were in the second week of September and you had a 6-game lead, you could say that.
Well, and history bears that out. You're absolutely right. You just go back to what the Cardinals did last year and the ground that they were able to make up. But still, I think you'd rather be 6 games ahead in the middle of August than 6 games behind.
And it takes away the urgency, really, of every day you go out. And like
Right.
as you said, you know, you could win a game and then the team ahead of you wins the game. So you're just treading water at that point. That's why when you look at division races and wild cards, it is always better to have one team you have to pass. You know, even if you have more of a gap than you do, you know, if you have several teams.
Yep.
As McCutchen goes down, and that is the 5th strikeout. Garrett Jones is out, 1 out. Right now, let's go to Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios for a DirecTV game break.
Dick, Boston and New York, the Red Sox started play 13.5 behind first place New York. Adrian Gonzalez doing his best to try to cut into that. His 8th home run since the All-Star break. The visiting Red Sox on top in the 4th. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Back to Dick and Eric.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. And boy, what a soap opera that is going on in Boston these days, starting from the front office, trickling down into the clubhouse. Travis Snyder fly to left his first time up with 1 out facing Lance Lynn. So 25 different players have been on the disabled list, and a lot of times people can point fingers and you're losing some big players, and that may be the key of all those things.
Well, it is, and you look at the 1-loss record, and that dictates everything. If they're winning, then you probably don't have all of this complaining to the media and the bickering and he said, she said, and meetings and all that sort of thing. And the bottom line is they just have not been able to produce on the field. They've had some guys, you could talk about the disabled list, but quite frankly, there have been some guys that they were counting on this year that haven't produced as they have in the past.
You know, pitching is everything, and of course John Lester, Josh Beckett have had off years for whatever reason, and those two were counted on to be the bellwether of the staff.
Yeah, the pitching hasn't been there. Remember their closer, Andrew Bailey goes down in spring training. Crawford not around, Ellsbury on the DL, Gonzalez not starting off well.
Ball 4, and Travis Snyder draws a walk. And that is the first walk issued by Lance Lynn. Here is the American League picture. Yankees, White Sox, and Rangers are the division leaders. Right now, the Tampa Bay Rays would be the first wild card, but right behind them, the Orioles and the Tigers would be even. And now you see the other battles with Oakland, the Angels, and the Red Sox. Hard to believe the Angels. Everyone thought they would be the team.
Right. Funny you mention that, because I was just thinking the same thing, that the Angels are the ball club that everybody in baseball has expected to just take off. And you know, a lot of people, after some of the acquisitions they've made at the trade deadline, picked them as the World Series winner. And they just haven't been able to get any kind of momentum yet.
Alvarez struck out his first time up. Lynn's pitches misses outside. Lynn has struck out 6, has given up 2 hits. The RBI single by Jordy Mercer in the 3rd inning. And Molina out to talk to Lynn.
I think this is where Molina separates himself. You know, obvious things are the defense and the offense, but something like this, going out to the mound after you just walked a hitter, trying to calm the pitcher down, address the situation before it gets into a problem. And that's why he's one of the best catchers in the game.
He's doing it at the plate and behind the plate. Pitch missing inside, and it's 2 balls and no strikes to Alvarez with Barajas on deck. Cardinals will get a boost with Jaime Garcia rejoining the rotation. He'll pitch tomorrow after he's been out more than 2 months with a shoulder injury. Lead at first by Travis Snyder. 1 out here in the Pirate 4th. and now trying to go inside and outside, and Lynn missing both times, and now falls behind 3-0 and in danger of walking his second straight hitter.
Well, and you've got to be careful here. You just can't lay one down the middle. Alvarez obviously has the ability to hit one out of the park, but even so, you maybe take a pass here and go after Barajas, which is what he did.
Second straight walk, and Barajas, who struck out his first time up, will be coming up with runners at first and second and one away. And Lilliquist going to the mound to talk to his pitcher, Lance Lynn, who made his Cardinal debut last June and was very successful coming out of the bullpen. He had a 2.22 ERA, averaged 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. And it's Kelly in the bullpen, and now Lynn starting.
So, yeah, and a big reason why the Cardinals were able to make that run in September and through October. You know, in this situation right now, again, he's just walked 2 guys, but you have a guy up there, Barajas, not fleet of foot, although he doesn't hit a ton of ground balls, very strikeout prone. Get out of here with 1 pitch, double play.
So the veteran Barajas with Snyder at second and Alvarez at first. 14th year in the big leagues for the catcher. First season with the Pirates. Journeyman has been with 7 teams now, and the first pitch inside for ball 1. Clint Barmas is on deck for the Pirates. Lynn retired the first 7 men he faced and then issued a run last inning. Single hit batsman and a Jordy Mercer single tying the game. There's a strike, and it's 1-1. Lance Lynn, who attended the University of Mississippi and was a strikeout king there, and then was the Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year in 2009. Good pitch in on the fist, fouled back on the big swing by Barajas. 1-2. So we see where Barajas is most effective at the plate. Two and 2 now to the Pirate catcher. Cardinals got their run in the first inning. Had a chance for more, but an inning double play ended that threat with only 1 run, and the Pirates tying it up in their half of the third. Time called. That's down low, and a full count. 3-2. With Clint Barmas on deck for the Pirates. He got their first hit with 1 out last inning. And now 70 pitches thrown by Lance Lynn.
Well, and the off speed got him in trouble against Mercer earlier, who had the base hit to left. Here, unable to get that 2-2 pitch over the plate. You basically got to throw a fastball here.
He got it and fouled back. Two runners on for the Pirates in the second consecutive inning. They tied it up last inning, looking to go ahead here. 3 balls and 2 strikes, and ball 4 inside, and the bases are loaded. So after walking Alvarez to get to Barajas draws a pass, and the bases are loaded with 1 out to Clint Barmas.
Now basically just has struggled this inning. Again, you mentioned he strikes out Garrett Jones and then has Travis Snyder 1 and 2, loses him to a walk, proceeds to walk Alvarez, and then Barajas can't get a fastball.
24 pitches this inning thrown by Lynn. And here is Barmas, very effective defensive shortstop. But every now and then can hurt you at the plate. Swings and foul tips it into Molina's glove. Hit 23 home runs for the Rockies in 09. Of course, taking into consideration the altitude there. 10-year veteran, 8 years with Colorado, and then went to Houston a year ago. Oh, 0-1 to Barmes, the number 8 hitter, and the pitcher Eric Bedard is on deck. Breaking ball, and Molina has to get into the dirt to stop that one.
And that's been the problem. Has not been able to throw that breaking ball for a strike. You see Molina's either blocking it or trying to keep it in front of him, or it's a ball. And as a hitter, if you can recognize that, you just eliminate that pitch. If I see it spinning, I'm not swinging, because he hasn't shown me that he can get it over the plate yet.
Another breaking ball, and chasing that one a bit, fouling it off. Well, Barmes going deep against the Padres, a grand slam home run. Part of a 9-run fourth inning for the Pirates. And with 889 career games, that was his first major league grand slam for Clint Barmes. He has 6 homers on the year. Singled and scored the run last inning to tie it up for the Pirates. Foul back, got the fastball that time, and the count 1-2.
Well, as a hitter right now, all you do is, I shouldn't say all you do, but you'd like to you spread your feet a little bit, and all you're doing is trying to make contact. You're trying to put the bat on the ball, just shoot it somewhere. You don't need to worry about it driving the ball.
And Lynn missing all over the place now. Count is 2-2.
Again, an off-speed pitch right there. It just doesn't seem to have any command of any of the secondary pitches today.
Molina went out to the mound, and then shortly after that, Derek Lilliquist as well. Try to settle him down. 2-2 pitch, strike 3. And Barmes lingering at the plate, wondering about that one, but a big strikeout, 7th of the game for Lance Lynn.
I mean, you see how he goes after Barmes. Barmes helps him in that first pitch, just kind of waves at it. There's that off speed out of the zone. He goes after that one. That's a borderline off speed pitch. Fastball. And we try and go in there with off speed, and then that's not where he wants that pitch. You know, he wants that pitch, Molina, low and away. This thing just backs up. Probably not a strike, but gets the call from the home plate umpire, Jim Reynolds.
So Eric Bedard with the bases loaded and 2 out now. 0-1 to Bedard, who tried to sacrifice with 2 strikes and fouled it off for the strikeout in the 3rd inning. Chopped foul, and it's 0-2 to the Pirate pitcher. Cardinal fans with the rhythmic chant looking for Lance Lynn to close out this 4th inning. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 out on the bases loaded for Pittsburgh. Strike 3, fastball, and he's down. So Lance Lynn walks 3 in a row, but he also strikes out the side, leaves the bases loaded, 8 strikeouts in the middle of the 4th, 1-1. Here in St. Louis, the Pirates and the Cardinals are tied 1-1. Cardinals batting in the bottom of the 4th inning against Eric Bedard. Cardinals have 4 hits and the Pirates 2, and David Freese starts it off and takes ball 1 outside. Freese bounced into an inning-ending double play in the 1st inning. Cardinals were looking for the big inning then, had scored a run and had Alan Craig at first and Carpenter at second when Freese hit into the 5-4-3 double play, and the count 1-1.
Yeah, that was the big at-bat so far for the Cardinals. And again, it illustrates, you know, the struggles that this Cardinal offense has had. You just look at the raw numbers, you go, man, these guys are just blowing people out of the water. But they've had games where they score 8, 9, 10 runs, and they'll come right back and score 1 and 2.
Well, the scoring differential leads the league. But that's not always what it's all about. It's winning the 1-run games, and that's where the Cardinals have struggled, and especially the last couple of games when they've lost 2-1. They are 11-21 in one-run games. That's 14th in the National League. 2 balls and a strike to Freeze with Yadier Molina on deck. There's the off-speed pitch missing away, and it's 3-1. Cardinals looking to get the leadoff man on here in the 4th inning. Molina waiting to hit. Bedard, a deliberate lefty out there. And ball 4. And Freeze draws a walk. That's the 2nd walk. And a leadoff man on for Molina. Well, we had the Twitter question. Who do you think is going to be in the playoffs this year? Pirates with a slight edge over the Cardinals. Neither is in last place with 2%. And as Molina comes in, very interesting when you've got to guess now, because the last 2 World Series and Super Bowl winners all clinched their playoff berths on the last day of the regular season. That's the last 2 years. The San Francisco Giants, St. Louis Cardinals in baseball, the Packers, and the Giants in football. So you can talk about late season. How about late hour? First pitch of strike.
Really an amazing stat there. Because again, we talk about where teams are in the middle of August, where they are in September, where they are in the middle of September, and it just goes to show you, at least in recent history, it doesn't matter where you are until the last day.
Fly ball Molina hit was to McCutchen in center field. Freeze held on by Garrett Jones. Down the left field line, it's going to be a fair ball. Extra bases. Freeze will be held at third, and in at second with a double is Yadier Molina. And with nobody out, the Cardinals have runners at second and third.
Well, Molina's missed the past few days because of a sore back. So if you're the opposing team, you're thinking, you know, maybe the rotational component is probably still a bit restricted. Let's try and bust him hard inside. Molina looking for the pitch, able to shoot it down into that left field corner and give the Cardinals an opportunity for a scoring chance.
And here's Shane Robinson, the center fielder who bounced to second base his first time up. Cardinals have a pair of runners in scoring position, trying to break this 1-1 log jam here in the bottom of the 4th.
It's a great opportunity for a push bunt to first base.
Taking ball 1.
You do that, you get the run in, you move the runner from second to third. Here comes Oquendo. He's going to come down and talk. He's probably saying, look at Garrett Jones. He's playing deep over there at first base. See where he is there. He bunts one down line, especially with a left-handed pitcher falling towards third base. This has bunt written all over it.
Garrett Jones moved in about a step, but he's even with the bag now. And a looper into right field, and it's going to drop for a base hit. Freeze will score. Ball gets by Travis Snyder, and now Molina will come in. And the Cardinals have taken a 3-1 lead, and Shane Robinson winds up at second base. The runners had to hold somewhat, and then it dropped in. Freeze was going to score easily, and then the misplay by Snyder, but they're going to call it a double.
Well, that's a generous double right there. He's hoping that ball just gets down, not hit hard at all, has some spin on it. You see it shoots away to the right of Snyder.
And that's why they had called it a double, perhaps, because of the English on the ball that got away from Snyder. In any event, Cardinals now lead 3-1. Another runner in scoring position, and Ryan Jackson, the hitter. He takes a strike. Jackson walked his first time up. So back-to-back doubles by Molina and Robinson. That's 3 two-baggers in the game for the Cardinals, as Percal led off the St. Louis first with a 2-base hit. Nobody out. Now Jackson's job is to move the runner over to third base. Takes an off-speed pitch and a strike. 0-2.
Yeah, I think if I'm the hitter right now, I'm going up there trying to drive him in. I've got the pitcher up on deck next. I'm not so sure that I'd want to give away an at-bat. Got to put the ball in play, though, now.
Remains at no balls in 2 spot strikes to Ryan Jackson, who attended the University of Miami. Drafted by the Cardinals in the 5th round back in '09. And still looking for his first major league base hit. 2 runs in for the Cardinals. They lead 3-1. Nobody out. Runner at second and trying to go to the right side and fouls it off, and it remains 0-2. Eric Bedard, Canadian-born, 33-year-old left-hander. A hit on the count, 0-2, and it's line drive back to the mound. They get the double play. So Jackson hits it right back, gloved by Bedard, and he doubles off Shane Robinson at second for the double play, and the bases are clear.
Well, not much you can do if you're on second. He takes a 1 step, gets him out there to dry. But again, a ball hit that hard up the middle. Not much you can do as a runner. You're trying to get that secondary lead.
So Lance Lynn, who took a called 3rd strike in the 2nd inning, 0-1 to Lynn. So that's the 2nd double play that the Pirates have executed. One ended things in the 1st inning with runners at 1st and 2nd. And then with a runner in scoring position here, the line drive back to the mound. And another runner in scoring position is erased, and the count now 0-2. And just missing outside. One ball, 2 strikes, bases empty. 2 runs in for the Cardinals here in the 4th inning on Shane Robinson's 2-run double. And strike 3, and that'll do it. 2 runs for the Cardinals. Starling Marte coming up.
He drives a 2-touch center field, and it is gone. The first pitch Starling Marte sees in the major leagues. He hits it out of the ballpark.
And the great Gateway Arch here in St. Louis, where the Cardinals are home, and there's nothing like a weekend of baseball in St. Louis. Fans come from near and far, dressed in their Cardinal red, bring their families, and they have a grand weekend. And they're enjoying this one as the Pirates and Cardinals in a meaningful series. Starling Marte leading off and taking strike 1 from Lance Lynn. Marte has bounced to first and was hit by a pitch and was stranded at 3rd. Tries to bunt his way on. Good bunt. Freeze with the throw. Not in time. Freeze did everything he could do, and Marte laid down a textbook bunt, and he's aboard with nobody out.
Yeah, great bunt, and this is why the Pittsburgh Pirates love this kid. He's got power, he's got speed, pretty good aptitude right there, except for the running down and looking back about 3 different times, but that just shows you what kind of speed he has. But this inning's so very important for Lynn because the Cardinals just answered 2 runs. They've got the lead. They've got some momentum. You got the top of the Pittsburgh lineup at the plate. You want to get your guys back in the dugout.
Shutdown inning for Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
And Jordy Mercer, who fly to center and knocked in the tying run with a base hit to the left in the 3rd inning. Throw to first base. Marte has 4 stolen bases in 5 tries this year. The Pirates coming in last in the National League in stolen bases. The lead by Marte. Led the Eastern League in hitting last year. There's a strike right down the middle, and it's 0-1 to Jordy Mercer. And on deck is Andrew McCutchen. Cardinals begin bullpen activity. Barrett Browning, left-hander, has gotten up. Line drive, and it's going to be a hit, and extra bases into the corner. Marte will be waved home. The ball getting away from Holiday momentarily. Marte scores, and into second with a double is Jordy Mercer, and it's now a 3-2 game. So the Pirates coming right back. And for Mercer, his second RBI of the game.
I mean, you look at this pitch, Dick. Again, it's just off speed over the plate. And that's where he's just struggled today. I mean, this thing has no break to it, just kind of spins up there down the middle part of the plate. And if anything today, Lance Lynn, he just hasn't had control of that. You see Matt Holliday going after it, doesn't really make a difference. That was a double anyhow. Marte was going to score from first with his speed.
So now the runner at second is Mercer, who's 2 for 3 with a single and a double and 2 RBIs. And Andrew McCutchen swings at the first pitch and pops it up to the right side of the infield. Alan Craig makes the catch for out number 1. So McCutchen has gone quietly in his 3 at-bats, striking out the first 2 times and now popping up on 1 pitch here in the 5th.
And it's okay to make an out, but you want to make a productive out right there. And that was a situation where you don't get the runner over to third base. You need to do that in that at-bat.
Garrett Jones, the hitter, has flied to left and has struck out, and Mike Matheny coming to the mound. Barrett Browning has been warming up. Matheny gives a look to the bullpen. 86 pitches thrown so far, and now they're going to make the move. Browning's going to come in. That'll be all for Lance Lynn. He leaves here in the 5th inning in a 3-2 game. The new Cardinal pitcher is 27-year-old Barrett Browning from Jessup, Georgia. Has not pitched since taking his second loss of the Phillies series last Sunday. Made his big league debut on June the 30th after making the Pacific Coast League All-Star team while working in Memphis. Replacing Lance Lynn, who goes 4 1/3 innings, responsible for Mercer at second, and this being the 5th inning, his team is leading, cannot get the win.
No, he can't get the win. He's got to be frustrated with that. But Mike Matheny has said all along that they play each and every day for that specific game. And right now, he's got an opportunity to win this ball game. This is an important situation right now. You got 2 left-handed hitters coming to the plate. Got to bring in the lefty. I take that back. You got 3. You got Alvarez.
Right. Garrett Jones right now. Jones flied out and struck out. Runner at second base. First pitch, ball 1. So the Cardinals could not get the shutdown inning after taking the 3-1 lead in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Well, I think you really got to credit Marte leading off the inning, knocking down a great bunt.
And the ball goes past Molina all the way to the backstop. And Mercer will advance to third. See if they rule that a wild pitch. And it is.
Well, you see what happened last night. Westbrook, Tony Cruz behind the plate. That one was a wild pitch. This one a pass ball, and that's how Pittsburgh scored both of their runs. No RBI last night.
But they were so pleased with James McDonald and his performance. 2 balls and no strikes. Runner at third. There's a drive to right field. Coming on over and making the catch is Matt Carpenter. Tagging up and scoring is Jordy Mercer for the run. A great play made by Carpenter, going to his left to rob Jones of a hit, but he gets the RBI, and the game is now even again at 3-3. For Jones, his 65th run batted in.
You see Carpenter laying out. Nice job. keeping his eye on the ball. But more important for me was the runner at third base. You see him focusing right there, make sure he got it. But the runner at third base, Jordy Mercer, he went back to third right when that ball was hit. Didn't mess around. Didn't worry about anything. Because if that ball bounces, he can walk right in. See, look at him. He goes back. He goes back. It's something for the younger players to watch. Little leaguers. A lot of times that ball's hit, you just, oh, I'm going to go score. I'm going to run. Guy catches it, and then you're in trouble.
Travis Snyder with the count, 1 ball and 1 strike, and that's the judgment you have to make when you're on the base paths. And you know that you could score if it drops. You want to make sure you get the run if it doesn't. And again, that wild pitch by Browning, and that set the situation up. So a sacrifice fly could tie the game. The run is charged to Lance Lynn. And the count is 1-2 to Snyder, who walked his last time.
And Lynn's just got to be beside himself. I mean, not only, frustrated with himself with the way he pitched, not being able to get 5 innings. Had a tough 4th.
Strikeout of Snyder ends things, but not before the damage is done. The Pirates get 2 and tie it in the middle of the 5th. Today's game, presented by Budweiser, is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. Stan the Man. Stosh, who is a native of Denora, Pennsylvania, suburb of Pittsburgh. Ground ball by Furcal into center field for a base hit. So Furcal, leading off the 5th inning for the Cardinals, has his 2nd hit of the game. Had a double in the 1st and scored a run. So it's, can you top this? The Cardinals take a 1-0 lead in the 1st. Pirates tie it in the 3rd. Cardinals get 2 in the bottom of the 4th. Pirates tie it in the 5th.
Well, and Bedard basically in the same situation that Lance Lynn was last inning. His team's got some momentum. It's tied the ball game. You're facing the top of this Cardinal lineup. Your job, get your team back in the dugout. We'll see how he fares.
Matt Carpenter with the RBI single, knocking in Furcal back in the 1st. Grounded to Barmas at shortstop. Pirates in double play depth here with nobody out and the lead run at 1st here in the 5th. Eric Bedard squaring the bunt, taking a strike is Carpenter with Matt Holliday on deck. Bedard has struck out 3, has walked 2, and has issued 7 hits. 3 of them doubles. Furcal, who has 12 stolen bases, like he was leaning a little bit, easily getting back.
Well, and Barajas has only thrown out 8% of the base runners. 5 out of 66. That's not too good, Dick.
No.
No.
When you said it, I started to.
Sorry to question me?
No, I started to do the math.
You divided 66 into 5
into 66.
and then you got the 8. Wow.
I had a little computer with me, to figure that out, but I'd go like the old-fashioned style. Long division, I think we call it. 0-1 pitch. Popped up. Center field. McCutchen coming in. And Carpenter is retired, and there is 1 away for call back to first base. Right now, here is today's Jeep game summary, and Jody Mercer has been the batting hero so far for the Pirates. 2 for 3 with a double, knocked in 2 runs. Shane Robinson. So there are 2 unlikely names you see there when these 2 teams get along.
Yeah, again, it hadn't been the big names yet. Still, we've got a tie ball game, and I'm still expecting my man up at the plate right now, or Andrew McCutchen, to make some noise.
Well, Matt Holliday singled his last time. 1 for 2, struck out back in the 1st inning. 3-3 to score here in the 5th inning, and going over to first again. Bullpen activity for both teams right now. The Pirates have Jared Hughes up, right-hander, and Trevor Rosenthal is now throwing for the Cardinals. So it looks like the bullpens obviously appear to be deciding this game as Holiday will foul it off. In fact, talking about the bullpen and the 2-1 win by the Pirates last night, 5 pitchers. Mentioned James McDonald, who started, worked 6 innings, but 5 pitchers combined for a run on 4 hits. There's Hughes.
Well, and the Pittsburgh bullpen has been dominant this year. Second in the National League in ERA. Jason Grilli, setup man, most holds in the National League. Joel Hanrahan, the closer, most saves in the National League.
He's got 34 now. Fastball blows it right by Holiday, and the count no balls and 2 strikes. And Holiday coming in 8th in the league in hitting and 10th in home runs. And remember, came in with a .412 lifetime average against Bedard, but not produced much. Just 1 RBI, no home runs off of it. Bedard checking for call. 1-2. Alan Craig on deck. Cardinals came in 1st in the league in hitting, 1st in runs scored, 5th in home runs, which goes to Eric's point. But you look at the numbers, you say, wow, what an offense. But again, they always seem to need that 1 hit.
1 hit away. It's like Mike Matheny told us. They put up 7, 8, 9, 10 runs in a ball game, and they'll throw out a 1 or a 2. And he says it's not like they're consciously looking to the next guy to do something, but that's what it appears to be. You know, there's so many guys in this lineup that do damage and have the potential to do damage. Sometimes you have to take it upon yourself.
1 out, 1-2, the count to Holiday. Strike 3, and he's down on strikes for the 2nd time, this time on a called 3rd strike. Well, Fox's coverage of the NFL preseason continues next Sunday as Peyton Manning and the Broncos host Frank Gore and the 49ers. As both teams continue to get ready for the start of the regular season, coverage will begin next Sunday at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, only on Fox. Things appear to be going well in Denver for Peyton Manning and getting adjusted to his receivers, and the 49ers having a real breakout year in Jim Harbaugh's first year as head coach. So with 2 down, here's Alan Craig, a single and popped up. For call on at first, he singled to start this 5th inning. Score is tied 3-3. Off speed pitch is down low, ball 1. Bedard now with 4 strikeouts. He hasn't had much success on the road, but does have a win here at Busch Stadium this year. Two-0 now to Craig. '71st pitch coming up for the left-hander from up north. For call. 2-0 pitch upcoming to Craig. Here's a strike, 2-1. Bedard, by the way, his first language is French, and he grew up in a small town near Ottawa. Population of 2,000 and limited baseball experience. And he wasn't very big during his high school years. He grew 7 inches before starting junior college. And he went along with a friend to open a tryout at Norwalk, Connecticut Community College, made the team as a walk-on, and the rest, as they say, history. Bedard's 2-1 pitch, and Craig fouls it off. And the count is even, 2-2.
He's always been enticing to a lot of general managers and a lot of ball clubs. Good left-handed action, good movement, get it up there pretty well. dealt with some injury issues, and just hasn't been able to have a consistent season.
Tell me, what is it like for an infielder when a pitcher is not quick working?
Not fun. I mean, when you're standing out there, and I understand you used the politically correct term earlier in the game, he's very deliberate. Now, if I'm an infielder, I'm standing out there and I'm playing behind him, he's flat out slow, he's wasting my time, he's not, and then he wants me to make a play behind him, and that's very, very difficult to do. You know, it's tough to play defense behind guys like that.
Well, we always start with the politically correct thing to do, and then we go downhill fast.
I'm not thinking deliberate out there if I'm standing there.
Apparently. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs with Furcal on at first. 3-3 to score here in the Cardinal 5th inning.
You know, and just to compound things. Not to pile on, but not only do we have deliberate, but we have ball 1, strike 1, throw over, ball 2, and those sort of things. Again, it wears on the defense. It really does.
3-2 for Call. Runs and a base hit to center field. And for Call, who is running on the pitch with 3-2 out, will go to third. And Alan Craig has his second hit of the game. And now the Cardinals have runners at the corners, 2 out, and David Freese coming to the plate. So with all of those conferences and all of those quote-unquote deliberate ways, the Cardinals threaten again.
All right, Cardinals have another opportunity. David Freese coming to the plate. And remember, in the first inning, David Freese came up with runners on first and second. The Cardinals had already scored a run. Ends up grounding into a double play. This is another situation where, again, I hate to belabor the point, but this is why the Cardinals are where they're at. An opportunity for a big hit right here.
Ray Searage, their pitching coach, going to the mound. This is an important batter right here. As you mentioned, the first inning it was as well, and you know, you can underscore the point. That was an inning in which the Cardinals had a chance to maybe go up 3-0. And who knows what happens with Lance Lynn working with a margin like that.
Well, it's a huge difference. You know, you got more room for error. You've kind of taken the wind out of the Pittsburgh Pirates' sails. But instead, even though they give up 1 run in that first inning, they feel like, hey, we just dodged a bullet. And even though you're behind, you kind of feel like, hey, we got the momentum. And that's what St. Louis allowed in that first inning.
So another opportunity with men on base for David Freese, who walked his last time up and came around along with Yadier Molina on Shane Robinson's double to right field. 3-3 the score, bottom of the 5th inning. Pirates have never led in this game. They've come back to tie on 2 occasions. Now the Cardinals trying to forge in front of once more. 2 down, runners at first and third. And 1-0 to Freese. Freese making the National League All-Star team for the first time by virtue of the fan vote. And a call strike, 1-1 to the Redbirds' third sacker. Big series here, and you mentioned they're going to be playing again pretty soon. Big series for division showdown. I know the Reds are in front. They won today. But 6.5, 8.5 this time of year, not too far back, really. And of course, the wild card implications are really loom large, especially since there are 2 wild cards in each league right now. The Atlanta Braves situated in the first wild card, and the Pirates in the second, and the Cardinals 2 behind them. And there are others involved, as we said. 2-1 to Freese with Furcal at third, Craig at first. Bedard trying to pitch out of it and misses here, and it's 3-1. And 1 pitch away from loading him up for Yadier Molina.
Well, and this is where if you're David Freese at the plate, you're looking for 1 pitch in 1 spot.
Close is right.
This one up a bit. If you're David Freese, you are, just because it's a strike does not mean you swing. You have to look for a pitch and be disciplined enough to wait for it to be there. If it's not there, take it.
Jared Hughes in the Pirate bullpen. 3-1. Ball 4, and that'll load him up. Second straight walk issued to Freese in as many innings. The bases are loaded as Craig goes to second, for Call stays at third, Freese at first, and Yadier Molina, who doubled to the opposite field and came around to score a run last inning. So there's for Call at third. On at second is Alan Craig, and Freese at first base. And you were talking about getting the big hit. Cardinals didn't get it with Freese in the first inning. He walked here, so now it's Yadier Molina's turn. 3 Grand Slam home runs in his career. Time called. Barmas comes in from shortstop to join Barajas and the pitcher Bedard. Now, in what instance would Barmas be coming
Well,
in?
Barmas is coming in to make sure that he's on the right page as far as the signs that Barajas is giving. Mainly for positioning. If an off-speed pitch is being thrown, then he can shade a little bit to his right. He's going fastball, but he's got to be on the right page as the pitcher and catcher.
Jordy Mercer is on the outfield grass, shaded towards second. Deep is Barmas at short. And there's a drive hit to right field. Snyder coming on over. He won't get it. And it bounces into the stands for a ground rule double. 2 runs will score as Yadier Molina delivers again. Second double in as many innings, driving in 2, and the Cardinals lead 5-3. For Call and Craig come around, and Freese goes to third. There's the big hit. And that'll be all as Clint Hurdle comes out, and we're going to have a double switch coming up when we return. And switches for the Pirates. Garrett Jones moves from first base to right field, replacing Travis Snyder. Gabby Sanchez moving in for Jones' spot at first. And the new pitcher is Jared Hughes. So Sanchez will bat in the number 9 spot as the pitch knocks down Shane Robinson in tight. Ball 1, 2 runs in. Here it is.
See, this pitch just continues to tail in. This is another at-bat, though, that is a big at-bat. You can open the game up, a base hit here, 2 more runs. Got a 4-run lead.
Robinson doubled 2 runs in with an opposite field double last inning. He takes a strike, and it's 1-1. And, of course, Jared Hughes, the pitcher. And, of course, the pitcher spot will be number 5. Fifth in the order, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Right, and neither starting pitcher today able to get through 5 innings.
So it's in the hands of the bullpen, and right now Jared Hughes, called up Thursday from Indianapolis, been with the Pirates for most of the years. That pitch is down low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cardinals have runners at second and third and 2 out. David Freese drew the walk to load the bases with 2 out, and Yadier Molina now 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles. Now with 56 runs batted in, closing on that 60 mark. They already have 4 with 60 RBIs. Big swing and a miss. Robinson goes down. Hughes gets his man, but not before the Cardinals break the tie with 2 here in the 5th. Today's game is sponsored by Share Everything. It's the plan that revolves around you, only from Verizon. and by Michelin, a better way forward. Along with Eric Carroll, Stick Stockton here in St. Louis, where the Cardinals taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates, as both teams aware of the wild card and their position in the NL Central, where the Reds, who won today over the Cubs 5-3, and have a 6.5 game lead over the Pirates, 8.5 over St. Louis. Barrett Browning, who came in and closed down the 5th inning, sacrifice fly, knocking in a run and then striking out Snyder. And here's Pedro Alvarez, who struck out and walked, and facing Browning for the first time. Pop fly behind the Pirate dugout. Alvarez, the 2nd overall pick from Vanderbilt back in 08, 1 year after David Price was number 1. How about the Tampa Bay Rays pitching these days?
Talk about a team getting along without a superstar player in Evan Longoria. That pitching staff has risen to the occasion, as it so often has the past few years.
Joe Madden knows how to keep a team together, doesn't he?
Oh, as good as there is in the game.
1-1 to Alvarez. Fouls back the Browning fastball. And the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Browning came in relief of Lance Lynn last inning, after the Pirates got a run to make it 3-2, and then the sacrifice fly with Browning on the mound charged to Lynn, who gave up 3 runs in 4 1/3 innings. And Alvarez goes down, out number 1, the 2nd straight strikeout for Browning. Well, Ryan Dempster, Derek Holland, and dozens of other MLB players have visited the MLB Fan Cave this season. Check out all the player videos and watch exclusive music videos with your favorite performers and celebrities by visiting MLBFanCave.com. Follow at MLB Fan Cave on Twitter and like the MLB Fan Cave on Facebook. And a pitching change coming up. Trevor Rosenthal will become the 3rd Cardinal pitcher when we come back. And we're back here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, and Trevor Rosenthal, 22-year-old right-hander from Lee's Summit, Missouri. That's near Kansas City. Not pitched in the majors since July the 29th. Starting in the minor leagues, 8-6 record this year. He's been up and down, called back from Memphis on Tuesday, and Rod Barajas, who has struck out and walked, swings and misses for a strike.
Yeah, not a lot of trickery involved with Trevor Rosenthal. He's going to come right at you. Powerful arm, to say the least.
In the air to right field, Matt Carpenter. And that'll be the 2nd out. 2 down to Clint Barmas. Cardinal pitchers have struck out 10 Pirates today. 8 by Lynn. And Barrett Browning struck out 2 of the 3 batters he faced. So Barmas, who has singled and scored a run, took a called 3rd strike last time up. Barmas, who played for Clint Hurdle in Colorado, has come alive at the plate lately, and he's in there for the defense. So important for the middle infielders. And Mike Matheny talking to us about how important Daniel Descalso has been defensively, even though, for example, yesterday had Skip Schumacher, who could have come up.
A lot of talk around here about the use of Descalso over Schumacher. Bottom line is, manager, in this case Mike Matheny, knows his ball club better than anybody, and it's not as if he isn't aware that Skip Schumacher has these numbers or Descalso does this, or he's got a reason for why he puts his players in the position that he puts them in.
And call strike 2, 1-2 to Barmas here in the Pirates' 6th inning. Last time the Cardinals took a lead, 3-1, the Pirates came right back with 2 in the 5th inning, and then the Cardinals got 2 back at you. But right now there are 2 down when 2-2 the count to Barmas. And a 3-2 count now to the Pirates shortstop. Pirates have won 2 in a row, and the Cardinals have dropped 2 in a row. And if Barmas gets aboard, Gabby Sanchez, who on the double switch, batting in the number 9 spot. And fastball, Barmas strikes out, and that'll do it. And the Pirates are retired in the 6th inning, and it's the Cardinals up 5-3.
Welcome back to Fox Saturday Baseball. Elsewhere on the Major League schedule, Cubs and Reds playing a doubleheader at Great American today. In the opener, Todd Frazier's 17th home run of the year helped support Johnny Cueto to a Major League best 11-0 record in 13 afternoon starts. Red Sox and Yankees, Adrian Gonzalez has homered, Curtis Granderson has homered, and Nick Punto has doubled. Combine that with an Andrew Jones error on this play, and Pedro Siriaco scores to make it 3-1 Red Sox in the 7th. Back to Dick and Eric in St. Louis.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. And the Cardinals coming up in the 6th inning, leading 5-3. They've out-hit the Pirates 9-4. And defensive replacement in left field for the Pirates as Ryan Jackson, third baseman, making the play, Pedro Alvarez, and there's one away. And Skip Schumacher is going to come up and pinch hit for Trevor Rosenthal. Yamaiko Navarro played with the Red Sox a couple of years ago, with Red Sox in Kansas City last year, and he replaces Marte in left. So here is Schumacher coming in hitting .314 with 19 runs batted in. 0 for 5 as a pinch hitter. Facing Jared Hughes, and the first pitch. One and 0 the count to Schumacher. In the air to center field. And McCutchen off on the crack of the bat makes the catch to retire the pinch hitter Schumacher, and there are 2 out. Well, this MLB on Fox season, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Club of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfeatures.org/Fox Sports. One away, and Rafael Furcal, who has a double and a single, or 2 away, I should say. Single and a double, and 2 runs scored. Shows bunt, takes a strike as Alvarez charges from third. Edward Mujica now in the Cardinal bullpen and ready to come on in the 7th inning. And Furcal takes the ball 1-1. Furcal had a back injection last week. Had not batted leadoff since early in the month. Takes up high. 2 balls and a strike. Made his 3rd National League All-Star team this year, so he's had 1 each with the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Cardinals. 2 down, and second baseman Mercer makes the play. 1-2-3 inning, and we'll return to St. Louis after a word from your local Fox station. Welcome back to Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Budweiser. Well, you can actually see the people up there looking out at the arch. And some are waving. Gabby Sanchez with a first pitch base hit, trying to stretch it into a double. Ball getting away from Matt Holliday. And so Sanchez is in at second with a leadoff double for the Pirates against the new pitcher, Edward Mujica. So there's Mujica, last pitch Wednesday against the Diamondbacks. Through a scoreless inning. He was acquired from the Miami Marlins at the trading deadline.
greeted by another former Marlin, Sanchez. And the top of the order. And for the first time, Amico Navarro batting. He replaced Marte in left field. Navarro hitting 174 with a homer and 4 runs batted in 26 games. Chop to the right side. Ryan Jackson makes the play to retire Navarro, and going to third is Sanchez. So there's 1 out, runner at third base. Now it's time for the Just for Men Keep Your Edge spotlight. And just as the strikeouts have given the Cardinals an edge, you can keep your edge with Just for Men mustache and beard. 11 strikeouts by Cardinal pitchers today. St. Louis leading 5-3. 1 out here in the 7th inning. And Jordy Mercer, who has an RBI double, actually 2 RBIs with a single and a double today. First pitch pops it up to shallow center field. Backtracking is for call, giving way to Shane Robinson, who makes the catch. And Sanchez goes back to third, and there are 2 down.
Well, Mojica's been effective for the Cardinals since he's been acquired. It's ironic because all of his appearances have been in the 7th inning of a ball game. So far this year, he's been unscored upon. Hasn't walked anybody. This is all, again, with the Cardinals. He's been equally effective against right-handers and left-handers.
Since 2009, ranks 3rd among big league relievers in innings pitched. So he's been a workhorse. Here's Andrew McCutchen. Been quiet today for the Pirates at the plate. Big cut and a miss on a high fastball, strike 1. McCutchen has struck out twice and popped up to the first baseman Alan Craig. That on the first pitch in the 5th inning, with Mercer at second. Cardinals leading 5-3, trying to even the series at 1 apiece with the rubber game tomorrow. Low.
Well, a nice job by Molina to keep that ball in front. Obviously, with a runner on third, that ball gets by and go after that run. See Molina get down, and he doesn't try to catch it, just tries to smother it, keep it in front.
Breaking ball in the air to right field. Carpenter on the warning track. Hasrul makes the catch. So after the leadoff double by Sanchez, Mojica retires 3 Pirates in order. And we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. The home 7th here at Busch Stadium. 5-3, the Cardinals. Today's game is sponsored by New Just for Men. Auto Stop is foolproof. Gray is over. And by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. Matt Carpenter will lead it off against Jared Hughes here in the 7th inning for the Cardinals, who lead it 5-3. First pitch, ground ball to Gabby Sanchez, and he feeds Hughes for the out, and Carpenter on 1 pitch is retired. Carpenter now 1 for 4 with an RBI single back in the first, and that will send Matt Holliday up to the plate. Holliday has a single in 3 trips, has struck out the other 2 times. Cardinals have 9 hits, Pirates 5, and a brief conference at the mound.
Well, it's been a back and forth game, although the Cardinals have had a couple of opportunities to open this thing up. You know, they have to be happy with Yadier Molina coming back after having the back issues and contributing 2 doubles. He's played well behind the plate. You just don't realize how much he means to this ball club.
Great handler of pitchers. Great with base stealers. Great running the team, and really has been a professional. And at the plate has gotten better and better, it seems, as the years go on. Not only 2 doubles, but he's driven in the game-winning or tie-breaking runs in the 5th inning to give the Cardinals their 5-3 lead.
Well, and not to continue on the Molina bandwagon, but
today's St. Louis Cardinals starting lineup, he is second on the team in stolen bases behind Furcal.
Wow, that's unusual. Good play made by Mercer at second, retiring Holiday. So Holiday is 1 for 4. Well, for Cardinal fans, tune in tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest for the final game of the series. Coverage will start at 12:30 p.m. Central. Fox Sports Midwest, the series finale for Cardinal fans tomorrow. Jaime Garcia, who hasn't pitched since the 5th of June, will be on the mound, and Jeff Karstens will be the pitcher for the Pirates. 2 down to Alan Craig, who has 2 singles today. Taking ball 1. So 9 hits for the Cardinals and 4 doubles, 2 of them by Molina. There's a slider. This is outside. Craig has spent 2 stints on the disabled list with the knee and the hamstring, but he's been pretty healthy since the 1st of June. And he's been pretty productive, hitting .355 since the end of July out of the University of California at Berkeley. 3-0 the count to Craig with David Freese on deck. Strike. '27-year-old Jared Hughes from Santa Margarita, Rancho Santa Margarita, that is, in California.
Yeah, Southern California.
Oh, off the glove, and we'll have time to make the play. Wow. So a shot, and it just bounced off the glove, and a 1-2-3 inning on ground balls. So the Cardinals retire. There's the shot back to the mound, handled by Hughes calmly, and we go to the 8th, 5-3 in favor of St. Louis. And we're back, and several changes in the field for the Cardinals. John Jay has gone to center field. Shane Robinson now moves over to right field. Matt Carpenter goes from right field to first base. And the new pitcher is Mitchell Boggs, who gives up a base hit to Garrett Jones to start the 8th inning. First hit of the game for Jones. So here's Mitchell Boggs, pitched a scoreless inning in all 3 games of the Arizona series. 28-year-old right-hander from Dalton, Georgia, 5th year in the Cardinals bullpen, and as good a setup man as you'll find.
Yeah, he's been effective. He gets that ball in the 9th inning. The thing about Boggs, where he's running into trouble, is sometimes he gets to get complacent, leaves that ball out over the plate. And again, a part of the bullpen that just, it needs to be more consistent.
Josh Harrison is going in as a pinch hitter, and Harrison delivers a base hit to left field. So Jones with a single, and Harrison, and Mitchell Boggs has been hit for a couple of singles here. And I tell you, the way this game is going, you talk about the big hit that the Cardinals have needed, and they did get the big hit from Molina, but the Pirates don't seem to go away quietly.
No, they don't go away. We talk about the big hits for the Cardinals. Later on that inning, Robinson had an opportunity with runners on second and third with 2 outs, didn't get the hit. Freese in the 1st inning with runners on 1st and 2nd, hit into a double play. And those are the types of at-bats and hits that open the game up, that they don't allow Pittsburgh to stay within striking distance. As long as Pittsburgh feels like they have a chance, Clint Hurdle's ball club is going to be there.
So Harrison, who is batting in the pitcher spot, is a pinch hitter in the number 5 spot, 1st and 2nd, and nobody out. Pedro Alvarez, and the Pirates need Alvarez's production right here as he swings and misses on a fastball outside the strike zone. Tying runners at first base in Harrington.
We talk about Alvarez, though, coming into today's ball game, 129 strikeouts, struck out twice already.
Harrison at first and Jones at second. Boggs 0-1 to Alvarez, and he fouls it off, and he gets ahead of a dangerous hitter. 2 strikes.
Well, he's dangerous when you make a mistake.
And I think that's what Clint Hurdle was hoping in this next month and a half, that he becomes dangerous even if you don't make a mistake, that he can attack pitchers, that he can hit a pitcher's pitch every once in a while.
The 0-2 with 2 on. Strike 3. Big strikeout for Boggs after giving up a pair of singles. Alvarez is down. And one away. Rod Barajas coming up.
And you see this pitch, basically it's out of the zone, but you get Alvarez to chase. He's got to expand because he has 2 strikes. And just as we talked about, he is a free swinger and has a number of places that he can be pitched to.
Barajas has struck out, walked, and flied to right. So Cardinal pitchers now have struck out 12 Pirates. 1-0 the count. Tying runners at first base as the Pirates, who answered a 3-1 deficit with 2 runs in the 5th inning, only to see the Cardinals come back with 2 in the bottom of the 5th, and that's where we stand, 5-3. But with 1 out, Pirates are threatening here in the 8th inning. Fouled off near the Pirate dugout, and it's 1-1.
Well, although both of these clubs have very similar records, the way they approach their offense is significantly different. Pittsburgh, a lot of swings and misses, although they will get a hold of the ball and drive the ball out of the park. St. Louis, on the other hand, constantly making contact, getting on base. As we've seen in this situation, 1st and 2nd, Alvarez strikes out. Barajas now 1-1.
And strike 2, 1-2. Pirates today are 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Pirates second to the Yankees and come from behind wins this year. A good swing and a tough pitch by Barajas. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. 2 runners on for the Pirates, trying to battle back here in the 8th inning. And just getting a piece of it. So Barajas going after some tough pitches outside the zone, getting a piece of it.
Yeah, Boggs has done a nice job of keeping that ball on the outer half of the plate. Barajas has done just as fine a job by staying alive. Set up now, though, for an inside fastball off the plate, especially in a 1-2 situation. You don't have to throw a strike.
And another foul ball down the 3rd base line. And the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And you see that Boggs came in right there. And I'd set up again inside. I'd go in off the plate on Barajas. Barajas probably thinking, okay, he just threw me inside. He's going to go with that slider away. I'd come hard in off the plate again.
Again, the 1-2. And he strikes him out, Barajas. So Boggs settling down after giving up hits to the first 2 batters here in the 8th inning, getting Pedro Alvarez and Barajas on strikes.
And Boggs going back away with that slider. He'd thrown it twice. Barajas had fouled it off. Then he came inside with the fastball, set him up, and then goes back on the outer part of the plate. Again, this Pittsburgh lineup very prone to the strikeout.
And we're going to have a pinch hitter, Michael McKendry, who's been an effective hitter as a catcher, is batting for Clint Barmas with 2 out and 2 on. 11 home runs this year, hit 2 last season. So McHenry, second pinch hitter to face Mitchell Boggs here, and he swings and misses strike 1. Boggs giving up a leadoff single to Garrett Jones, and then to the pinch hitter Josh Harrison. Struck out Alvarez and Barajas. Cardinals trying to protect a 5-3 lead here in the Top of the 8th inning. One and one to McHenry, native of Knoxville, Tennessee, and as you can see has some power. And as a fly ball to left field, Robinson is there to make the catch. And that'll retire the side. Today's game is sponsored by DirecTV. Now NFL Sunday Ticket is included at no extra charge when you switch. And by Foster's. Grab some for your mates with Foster's. Australian for beer. Back here in St. Louis, Nick Stockton and Eric Karros. Holiday, by the way, made that last catch in left field. He stayed in left, and Robinson went to right. As teams making changes, Jordy Mercer goes from second base to shortstop. Josh Harrison, who came in as a pinch hitter, remains at second. And the new pitcher is Juan Cruz, and he'll be batting in the 8th slot in the Pirate order. And the Cardinals in the 8th inning will send up David Freese, Yadier Molina, and Shane Robinson. Freese, after hitting into a double play in the first inning, has walked twice and scored a run. Breaking pitch, strike one. So Cruz, 33-year-old Dominican, and with the tying run on third in the 7th last night, came in to retire Rafael Furcal, the only batter he faced. Big out for Cruz, and the Pirate bullpen came off the DL last Sunday. This is the 5th appearance since then. And of course, you remember him from the Cubs, 12th year in the MLB. Pitched to Atlanta, Arizona, and last year with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I played with Juan in 2003 with the Chicago Cubs. At the time, a hard thrower, slider. Really hasn't changed much. He's going to come right at you.
Freese lifts it in the air to right center field. Andrew McCutchen going to his left. And David Freese is retired for the first out. And here is today's Burger King smooth play of the game. And how smooth was Yadier Molina with this opposite field shot. Ground rule double and driving in 2 runs. And that's proved to be the difference at this point as the Cardinals lead 5-3. Molina had doubled in the previous inning as well and has scored a run. So a big return, 2 for 3 on a pair of doubles for Molina. At the plate with 1 out here in the 8th inning. Goes after the fastball, and it's strike 1. The 0-1. Shot off the glove into center field. Molina has his 3rd straight hit. Yadier Molina with a shot back off of Cruz into center field and a base hit. Well, next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, 2 of baseball's fiercest rivals go at it once again in Cincinnati as the Cardinals continue their NL Central chase of the Reds. Or other games with playoff implications. Braves, Giants, or the Twins and the Rangers. That's next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern, only on Fox. And Johnny Cueto winning his 16th game of the year today, going 8 innings. And an impressive ERA of 2.44 as the Reds beat the Cubs earlier 5-3. So right now the Reds are 6.5 over the Pirates and 8.5 over the Cardinals, and could make it a 7-game lead over Pittsburgh if this score holds and the Cardinals go on to win. Here's Shane Robinson. Ball 1. Robinson with a 2-run double back in the 4th inning. Rafael Furcal started the Cardinal first with a double, and that's been the magic wand for St. Louis today. They have 4 doubles, and Molina with 2 of them, and Robinson with 1, and they have like 4 runs batted in as a result of their 2 baggers. They count 1-1 now to Robinson.
You see Mike Matheny pushing all the right buttons today.
Pirates have made 3 changes in the field since the start of the game, and the Cardinals have made 5. Go to first base. Carlos Beltran, who Eric talked about at the outset, being part of the big 1-2 punch with Matt Holliday. Beltran not starting today, but he's in the on-deck circle. One ball and 1 strike. We have a further medical report. Remember, Starling Marte came out of the game, and he bunted in the 5th inning. He was discomfort in the right side being evaluated. And Eric, your thought perhaps that maybe he was bothering him, and that was the best way to go at the at-bat.
Yeah, when you start thinking of side, you think of rotation, swing, and it was a great move bunting that ball to begin the inning, and ended up getting down to first base. But you wonder, was that out of necessity, or was that, hey, I'm going to be smart and drop a bunt down?
That was the inning. The Pirates tied the score at 3-3 in the 5th. But the Cardinals lead it here 5-3. And there's a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 2-2 to Shane Robinson. Ryan Jackson is the scheduled hitter, but Beltran in the on-deck circle. And missing. Full count now, 3-2 to Robinson. Juan Cruz, the 3rd pitcher of the day for the Pirates. Eric Bedard started, worked 4 2/3 innings, allowed 5 runs all earned on 9 hits. And then Jared Hughes worked 2 1/3 inning. And here's Cruz as Beltran waits. Payoff pitch and a slow bounding ball, and it's the shortstop Mercer, and safe at first base. Mercer, who moved from second to short, and Alvarez cut in front of him, and it'll be a base hit for Robinson, and runners now at first and second, and Beltran will come up as a pinch hitter.
Well, and also important on that play is you see Molina gets the jump. He's running. If he's not running, they possibly have a play at second base. You see Mercer fielding it deep, doesn't get a lot on the throw, just kind of flips it over there. Sanchez doing a nice job of just swiping at it and hoping that he gets the call. Don't swipe at it and then try to re-tag him because you know you didn't get him. Make the umpire make that call.
So the Cardinals with an opportunity here, leading by 2 runs, and runners at first and second, 1 out. Carlos Beltran hitting .279. Second with 28 home runs and leading the league with 83 RBIs. Molina at second, Robinson at first. Breaking pitch on the outside corner, a strike. Beltran, who made his 7th All-Star game, and the home run total the most in the last 4 years. And looking for his 8th year with 100 or more runs driven in. The on-deck hitter, by the way, John Jay. Good fastball, and it's 0-2. Jay, who went into the game at center field, batting in the number 9 spot, and he's on deck. Jason Mott, the closer for the Cardinals, has been throwing. And Beltran strikes out for out number 2. And John Jay will come to the plate with 2 out and 2 on. So the Cardinals using just about everyone today, Eric. And And Schumacher is a pinch hitter. Beltran the same. And Jay hitting .304 with 4 homers and 26 runs batted in. Missed a month with shoulder sprain and came off the DL in late June.
Well, and he's played an excellent center field for this Cardinal ball club.
Fouls off the first pitch. Jay red hot, hitting well over 500 in an 8-game hitting streak, and then going ice cold. He's 0 for 9 in his last 3. He was a second-round pick in 2006 from the University of Miami. That's 1 year after Gabby Sanchez. 0-1 with 2 out and 2 on. And it hits him. And Jay will go down to first base and load the bases. Molina will go to third. Robinson advances to second. Jay is at first. And Furcal will come up with 2 out, the bases loaded, and a big chance against Cruz.
Well, again, this is another situation where the Cardinals have an opportunity to blow a game wide open. And they missed that opportunity a few times today. Furcal having a nice afternoon.
So there's Molina, Robinson, and Jay on the base paths. And Furcal, nice afternoon indeed. Double in the first inning and scored the Cardinal first run. And he also came around to score a run in the 5th inning on a single. So he's 2 for 4. Average up to 270. Bases loaded, 2 out. Breaking ball, and that missed outside for a ball. Looking ahead to the Pirate ninth, Sanchez, the number 9 hitter, and then the top of the order, Navarro, and then Mercer, the scheduled hitters for Pittsburgh. There is Jason Mott. What a hero he was coming out of the pen last year postseason. That breaking ball is in for the strike, and it's 1-1.
See, Cruz has thrown 2 of those backdoor breaking balls where they start off the plate to the left-handed hitter and get that corner. He didn't get the first pitch. That is a nasty pitch. As a hitter, doesn't matter if that's a strike. Can't do anything with that anyhow.
One and 1. 2-1 now to Furcal. Switch hitter who started the game batting right-handed against the southpaw Bedard. Mike Matheny says he enjoys managing more than he thought he would. Two balls and 2 strikes now.
But he did say that, you know, he's got to concern himself with everybody on the ball club. When you're playing, although he did say as a catcher, he had to concern himself with the pitching staff. If you'd go home and you'd have a bad day, you dwell on, okay, what can I do to get better tomorrow? What can I do to help the team? As a manager, it's what can I do to help everybody? So it's all encompassing. Absolutely much more responsibility.
Says he owes it to the front office and to the coaches, players. He says it's not about me. He's a manager. So I see a lot of similarities with Robin Ventura of the White Sox. Both are in their first years as skippers.
Both very similar in their demeanor, serious when it comes to the game, but guys that aren't going to just be all encompassed. And what I mean by that, if it's a loss, it's a loss. It's done. What can I do to put myself and my team in the best position tomorrow?
That man did a pretty good job.
He did all right. Yeah, that guy was all right.
The number 10.
LaRusha, what was it? Tony La Russa, next stop Hall of Fame.
From Tampa's.
Yeah, there he is. I had a chance to see him last week at a dinner in Los Angeles honoring Sandy Koufax, Joe Namath, and Julius Erving.
Pretty good triumvirate there.
Yeah.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Furcal. Bases loaded, and a high pop fly. Shortstop Mercer calling for it, makes the catch, and that'll retire the side. Cardinals leave the bases loaded. They'll take a 2-run lead into the top of the ninth. And the Cardinal closer, Jason Mott, who has 27 saves in 32 opportunities, will come in and try to close it out and get a save here. As the Cardinals lead 5-3, Daniel Descalso has moved into second base. And the first pitch is a strike to Gabby Sanchez. Sanchez with a double in his one-plate appearance in the 7th inning, batting in the number 9 spot. Emiko Navarro on deck, and he replaced Starling Marte. And up the middle, and this will go through for a base hit. So Sanchez 2 for 2 in the leadoff single with nobody out will bring this tying run to the plate. In Navarro, who bounced to second in his one-plate appearance.
Well, what that does, more importantly than anything, if he stays out of the double play the Pirates do, that will bring Andrew McCutchen to the plate as the tying run. Not what you want if you're a St. Louis Cardinal fan.
And that's the one thing Tony La Russa always did, looking ahead to see who got retired in order in the earlier innings to avoid having the big hitter come up. That's why the singles allowed in the 8th inning by Boggs extended the Pirate situation so that McCutchen could get a chance.
Yeah, and if you're a hitter right now, you've got to look for something up. You've got to stay out of that double play. Again, until you have 2 strikes, look for something up in the zone, something you can shoot to one of the gaps. Don't go fishing for something down low.
Fouled off, and it's 1-1. Navarro called up Thursday when Neil Walker injured his pinky, suffered a dislocation. Played for the Pirates earlier in the year, 25 games, and was hitting .275 with 8 home runs at Indianapolis. Cardinals trying to come within 1 game of the Pirates in the wild card race. Fly ball to right field. Robinson with a long run, and coming in and unable to make the play was Descalso, the second baseman. Made a valiant try for it and came a lot closer than it first appeared.
And you see Robinson hustling in. You think he's got a better shot at it, but Descalso obviously calling him off as Robinson kind of tapers off at that last minute. You mentioned a great effort there. A lot of ground to cover.
So a ball and 2 strikes to Navarro with Jordy Mercer on deck, and then McCutchen. Pirates trailing by 2 runs. Fouled away. So Navarro stays alive. Been 20 years since the Pittsburgh Pirates had a winning season and got into postseason. Right now they're 13 games over 500, having won 2 straight, but trailing here in the 9th. Their last opportunity against Jason Mott. Ground ball, third base, off the glove of David Freese. No play, and everybody is safe. So Navarro is on at first base. Sanchez goes to second. Tying runs aboard for Mercer, who was knocked in 2 runs today. And they're going to rule that an error charge to David Freese, his 10th error of the season.
I think right there Freese is hoping he can pick that and then make the play at second base. He's got time because the runner is jammed on that pitch. He doesn't get out of the box. So instead of just playing for the out, boom, he's trying to set himself up to get 2. Unable to do it. So he does not get a good jump out of the box at all. He's got bunt written all over it.
So the tying runs are on, and Mercer with a single and a double, and Mercer gets hit in the hand, and he'll go to first, and he's shaken up. And Tom Tomczyk, the Pirate trainer, and Clint Hurdle out to check on Mercer. And that's the last thing Jason Mott wanted to do, and it's the right hand. And now Mott and the Cardinals in trouble here with the bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah, that pitch just ran in, and it doesn't look like that's just finger. That looks like it got some wrist the way he's acting. Take a look at this right here. Yeah, that looked like it got, I don't want to say the fatty part below your pinky, the palm part of your hand. It just does not feel good.
He's up. Derek Lilliquist, the pitching coach, out to the mound. The only player left is Neil Walker, who did not go on the disabled list with that dislocated pinky in his right hand. Well, Mott blew a save Thursday against the Diamondbacks as he gave up back-to-back solo home runs, first to Paul Goldschmidt and then Chris Young on consecutive pitches. In the ninth inning, Cardinals were leading 1-0. That was the 5th blown save this season and the first since June the 17th. He had converted 13 in a row, and now in jeopardy once again with the score 5-3. Tying runners at second base. Go-ahead run at first, and Mercer staying in the game. So now Sanchez is at third, Navarro at second, Mercer at first.
And here's the best part. Go ahead, tell him, Dick.
Okay, it's Andrew McCutchen
at the plate.
And if there's a guy due,
yep,
it would be McCutchen, who has struck out twice, popped to first, and fly to right. 5-3, the Cardinals lead, and the lead is in jeopardy. The first pitch, ball 1 to McCutchen. Joel Hanrahan picked up his 34th save last night in the bullpen along with Tony Watson. And the foul off to the side, and it's 1-1 to McCutchen. McCutchen came in the game leading the National League with a .360 average. 0 for 4 today. Had 1 hit in the series opener. There's Watson, the lefty, and Hanrahan, who's the closer. Swing and a miss. Big pitch that time by Mott, and the count is 1-2.
Well, and that's where they've been going this entire series with McCutchen, low and away. Westbrook did it very effectively last night. They've continued to go away, go away. If they do come in, it's off of the plate. And McCutchen's got to be aware of that. Use the big part of the field, right center.
Bases loaded, nobody out, and a foul fly out of play to the right side. So the count remains 1-2 to Andrew McCutchen, who's been the key weapon for the Pirates this year. And a big chance, and once again, they don't know what will transpire, but the Cardinals had another opportunity in the 8th inning to extend a 5-3 lead. They didn't. One and two. And a bounding ball to third. Freeze goes to second, and that's all. A run's going to score, and it'll be 5-4. As Sanchez comes in and Navarro goes to third. So now the tying run is at third base. And McCutchen on at first. Here it is.
Freeze makes a nice play here, and then as you see right there, Mercer makes sure that they can't turn the double play. Now this is an interesting situation, because if I'm Clint Hurdle and I'm the Pittsburgh Pirates, I leave McCutchen at first base. And the reason I leave him there and don't try to steal is because Jones up at the plate will have that hole to shoot a ball through.
Cardinals bring their infield in. One and 0. Pitch up high. So 5-4. The Cardinals leading, a run in. Runners at first and third. Shortstop for a call playing a few steps back. In his position.
I'd say the infield is probably playing halfway,
right.
and they're still looking to get that double play
and ready to charge if they have to.
Absolutely.
On the ground ball hit at any of the infielders. Missing outside. 2-0 now to Garrett Jones, 1 for 3 with a single and a sacrifice fly RBI. And the crowd and Jason Mott wanted that pitch.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure what halfway does here. You know, I'm either in or I'm back, because if I'm back, I still have a chance to turn a double play. If I'm halfway, the runner's going on contact, I don't know if I throw him out. And if it's hit hard, I can turn too.
And now 1 pitch away from loading the bases. Josh Harrison is on deck. Now, he came in as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning and got a base hit. Hitting in the 5 spot, which was the pitcher spot when he pinch hit last inning. And he had the green light on 3-0. Did Jones.
Well, I think that speaks to the confidence Clint Hurdle has, but also the fact you've got Harrison, a younger player, on deck.
1 out, runners at first and third. This is a pivotal time of this game. Pirates looking to tie it up. Cardinals looking to end it. Full count now, 3-2. So 2 big cuts by Jones after Mott was behind 3-0.
I'm running McCutchen here. 3-2, I'm running.
Navarro, the runner at third, representing the tying run. McCutchen would be the go-ahead run. 3-2, 1 out. McCutchen doesn't go, and strike 3. So after falling behind 3-0, Jason Mott, with Jones getting the green light, swinging, strikes out Jones for out number 2. And now it's up to Josh Harrison. With 2 out, and the infield can move back to normal depth. Big strikeout for Jason Mott. So here's Harrison, who's 1 for 3 against Mott in his career. Pinch hit single in the 8th. But what a tight, taut, back and forth kind of game we've had, but the Pirates have never had the lead. Swings at a fastball and fouls it off. Cardinals got a run in the 1st inning. Pirates tied it up in the 3rd. Redbirds got 2 to make it 3-1 in the 4th. And the Pirates answered with 2 in the top of the 5th, only to see the Cardinals come back to make it 5-3 in the 5th. It stayed that way till the Pirates got a run. Jim Edmonds watching things from behind the plate. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Harrison. Check swing. And a strike. 0-2 went around. No balls, 2 strikes.
Well, you see this pitch on the outer half of the plate. Obviously, Harrison goes. If I'm Molina, I'm Mott, getting a slider on the outer part of the plate.
Crowd is on its feet. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. And a ground ball. Freeze at third. Goes to second for the force, and the Cardinals win it as they hold on and beat the Pirates 5-4. So Jason Mott living dangerously. And the bases loaded and nobody out. And the Pirates go down 5-4, and a 1-run win for the Cardinals after dropping a 1-run game the last 2. And Mott picks up his 28th save of the year, and the Cardinals win it 5-4. So the Cardinals now go to 65-55, and they trail the Pirates by 1 game in the wild card. Pirates now 66-54. And here's the standings. The Reds winning earlier against the Cubs. Pirates are 7 out. Cardinals are 8 out. And in the wild card chase, Atlanta has the #1 wild card spot lead, but the Pirates right behind, and now the Cardinals right behind them. So a dramatic win today. And Jason Mott is with us. Dick Stockton up here, Jason, and nothing like living dangerously, huh?
I'll shoot. A win's a win. I'll take it either way I can get it, man.
I'm sure. Take us through that 9th inning. And what transpired?
You know, it's just one of those things. I'm going out there just trying to make my pitches. First couple guys got on, and you know, I'm out there with the same mentality, and that's I'm going to go out there and try to execute my pitches. I'm not gonna give in. I'm not going to try to do something else. I'm going to go out there and go right at them and try to execute my pitches, and I was able to do that, and we were able to get the win tonight.
Of course, Jones had the green light on 3-0, and that was important.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Yachty was back there. He gave me the little, hey, he'll probably swing, and you know, I mean, it was a ball. Thankfully, he swung at it, and then was able to get him out, and then the last ground out was pretty big.
Yeah, as David Freese made the play, got the force, and the Cardinals win a one-run game, something they haven't done much of, but any way you can do it, you do it. Congratulations, Jason.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, Jason Mott, who picks up his 28th save of the year. And so that'll be it tonight on Fox. Don't miss back-to-back episode of Cops, followed by Mob at 8, 7 Central. And next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, it's an NL Central matchup between the Cardinals and the Reds. Plus the Braves, Giants, Twins, and Rangers in action. Coverage starts with the pregame at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. For more information on today's game and the latest in Major League Baseball news, log on to foxsports.com. on MSN, the world's favorite sports site. So for Eric Harris and our entire crew, this is Dick Stockton saying so long from St. Louis. You've been watching Fox Sports, exclusive home to the 2012 NLCS and World Series. A thriller, and the home team wins it. Yadier Molina comes back and gets the key double for the Cardinals. So long, everybody.